Hello, biology students. At this point, you should have done some analysis on our cute little minion friends. You are now going to put your observational skills to work to come up with a cladogram. So you're going to be a little evolutionary biologist. So basically, you have columns, right? That's where the characteristics are. You have rows, and you've already analyzed which characteristics are the most common to the minions and which ones are more unique. So again, if you rank them, we have all of them are wearing denim overalls. And then the next most common would be they all have goggles, except for one, right? Except for minion one. And then if you keep going, it looks like most of them, at least 4 out of 6 of them, have their hands to their side. 3 out of the 6 have 2 eyes. And then it starts to get a little bit more unique. We have 2 of them that are turned to the left, and we have one little guy with just a tiny sprout of hair in the center. Okay, that's the columns and the characteristics. If you look at the rows, what you'll notice are the 2 sort of extreme minions. So we got our minion number 1, and I hope you were able to number them at least mentally. So this is number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and number 5, and number 6. Okay, so in the Google Doc it tells you, number 1, you're numbering from left to right, and number 1 is not wearing goggles. He really doesn't have a huge amount in common with the others. He has one shared characteristic. He is wearing the denim overalls, the uniform of the minions. Okay, and then you see this other extreme. So I have 1, and then the other extreme would be minion number 5. I mean, he has all the characteristics that we're looking at. So this is what I mean by this, sort of the 2 extremes in terms of minions. Okay, so let's go back to the characteristics. So the most common characteristic that they all share is denim overalls. So we are going to put that at the bottom of our cladogram. And a cladogram really shows change over time. And it's a guess. It's a guess as to how changes might have occurred with these minions over time. Well, to start out with, nothing has changed in terms of the overalls. They're all still wearing overalls. So you'll still see that characteristic in all of them. Okay, and then let's rank them. So the second characteristic that you see in most of them is you see that most of them wear goggles. Not all, but most. And then if you keep going, it looks like the next most common characteristic is both hands down. Again, some of these guys do not exhibit those characteristics anymore, but at least 4 out of 6 do. Okay, 3 out of 6. 3 out of the 6 have developed 2 eyes. Okay, and then turning to the left. Now, obviously, you're going to start looking at some more scientific type examples. It's a pretty easy one to start out with, but it's a good place to start building your skills. And then, of course, last but not least, we got that tiny sprout of hair. And as always, I apologize about my handwriting, but those are the characteristics that have changed over time. So we put this one at the bottom, the most common, because what it says is all the minions will have overalls. Some of the minions will have goggles, and so on. So overall includes all of them, but if you go back to our extreme, minion number 1, that's it. That's the only characteristic he shares with the others. He doesn't wear goggles, he doesn't have both hands down, doesn't have 2 eyes. Okay, so we're going to put on our cladogram that minion number 1 belongs here. Okay, wears overalls, does not have any of the other characteristics. Okay. Moving along. All of them have goggles. Okay, which one remaining though? So I'm going to kind of put a little X on him because we did him. So which one, 2 through 6, does not have both hands down? Okay, it looks like minion number 3. Minion number 3 has one hand up, one hand down. So he can't go past this characteristic. He doesn't have that characteristic. He does have overalls. He is wearing goggles, but he doesn't have both hands down. All right, let's move along. So I've marked off number 3. Okay, so now what we're looking at is all the rest of these guys have both hands down. Are there any that don't have 2 eyes? Okay, minion number 4 is not exhibiting the characteristic of 2 eyes. Number 4. He is wearing overalls. He does have goggles. He does have both hands down. So all those characteristics are good. He does not have 2 eyes. So we are now going to keep going and see the minions that develop these 2-eye characteristics. And that looks like 2, 5, and 6. Okay, which one of these guys is not able to turn to the left? Looks like number 6. Minion number 6. All the other characteristics, but that one. So turning to the left, 2 and 5 have that characteristic down, but you will notice the bald number 2 does not have any hair sprouting from the center of his head, or her head. I don't know what minions are. So minion number 2. So minion number 2, wearing overalls, has the characteristic of goggles, both hands down, 2 eyes, turns to the left, does not have the characteristic of sprout of hair. So that leaves us with our minion number 5. And that is a basic cladogram. So the characteristics, the shared characteristics go on the bottom, and then you simply analyze the relationship as to the organisms in terms of, do they have the shared characteristic, do they not have the shared characteristic, and you can start to see a pattern or hypothesis in how they might be related. If all of a sudden a new minion comes along and has a sprout of hair, then we know that might be a pretty close relative to minion 5. If one comes along without goggles, then we might want to say it's more related to number 1. And so now what you're starting to build is a relationship tree, like the tree of life. All right, good luck with the rest of your lesson.